The alien ship moved through space like a silent predator, its dark hull barely visible against the stars. Inside the massive vessel, Commander Vexel stood before a wall of glowing screens, watching data streams flow past his eyes. Numbers. Charts and images of a small blue planet filled the displays. Another primitive world, he muttered to himself, his voice carrying the boredom of someone who had seen this scene 1,000 times before. The planet Earth spun slowly on the main screen, its surface covered in brown clouds and gray patches where green should have been. Cities glowed like infected wounds across the continents, their lights dim and flickering. The oceans had turned a sickly yellow-green color, and massive storms raged across the damaged atmosphere. "Sir," called Science Officer Kralvin from his station, "the analysis is complete." Vexel turned toward the younger alien, his 6 eyes focusing on the datapad in Kralvin's claws. "Tell me what we found." "Species calls itself human," Kralvin began, reading from his notes. "They are still fighting each other over basic resources: water, food, energy sources. Their wars never stop. They have poisoned their own air and water supplies." The commander nodded slowly. This was always the same story. Species would rise, destroy their world, then die out. It was the natural order of things. "What about their technology?" Vexel asked. "Primitive nuclear weapons. Basic spaceflight. They can barely reach their own moon," Kralvin replied. "Their most advanced computers are less powerful than our basic tools." On the screen, images showed human cities choking in smog, rivers running black with waste, and forests turned into empty deserts. The polar ice caps were melting, and the sea levels were rising, flooding coastal areas. "How long do they have?" the commander asked. "Perhaps 50% of their years before complete ecological collapse," Kralvin calculated. "Maybe less if their resource wars continue to escalate." Vexel walked closer to the main screen, studying the dying planet. He had seen hundreds of worlds like this one, species that grew too fast, consumed too much, and destroyed themselves. It was almost boring now. Meanwhile, deep beneath the ruined city of Seoul, Dr. Kim Ji-soo wiped sweat from her forehead as she worked at her computer. The underground laboratory was hot and cramped, lit only by the glow of electronic equipment. Pipes leaked water from the ceiling, and the air tasted of metal and fear. "Dr. Kim," said Park Min-ho, her research assistant, "the signals are getting stronger again." Ji-soo looked up from her work. For months, her team had been detecting strange radio waves from deep space. The signals were too organized to be natural, too complex to be random. Someone was out there watching Earth. "Show me the pattern," she said. Min-ho pulled up a chart on his screen. The signals came in regular bursts, always from the same direction in space. They seemed to be scanning Earth, like invisible fingers probing for information. "They are studying us," Jisoo whispered. "But why? What do they want?" Above them, the city of Seoul struggled to survive. The air was thick with pollution, and most people wore masks when they went outside. Food was running low, and clean water was becoming harder to find. The government had moved most operations underground to escape the toxic atmosphere. But Jisoo and her team kept working. They had to understand what was coming. Back on the alien ship, Commander Vexel made his decision. He pressed a button on his command chair, and his voice echoed through the vessel. "This is the commander," he announced. "We have completed our survey of System Sol 3. The planet shows all signs of imminent species collapse. Native technology level is minimal. Military threat assessment, 0. He paused, looking once more at the image of Earth on his screen. "Recommendation: resource harvesting operation. Deploy minimal fleet assets. This world has useful materials, but the inhabitants are not worth considering." Throughout the ship, alien crew members began preparing for what they saw as a simple cleanup job. To them, humans were already finished. Earth was just another dead world waiting to be stripped. Of anything valuable, the order went out across the galaxy, transmitted through quantum channels to the Kethmori Fleet Command. Soon, mining ships would arrive to begin taking apart the solar system piece by piece. In her underground laboratory, Dr. Kim Ji-soo felt a chill run down her spine. The signals had changed. They were no longer just watching, something was coming. She looked at her research notes, filled with theoretical equations about energy manipulation and stellar physics. Ideas that seemed impossible just months ago now felt urgent and necessary. Minho, she called to her assistant, gathered the team. We need to contact the government immediately. What should I tell them? He asked. Jisoo stared at the data on her screen, watching the alien signals grow stronger with each passing hour. Tell them that our visitors think we are already dead, she said quietly, and that might be the only advantage we have left. Outside, the poisoned wind howled through the empty streets of Seoul, carrying the scent of a world that was running. Out of time, the darkness of space suddenly filled with light as dozens of enormous ships appeared near Neptune. They came without warning, materializing like ghosts becoming solid. The vessels were huge, each one the size of a small city, but they moved with strange grace through the void. Commander Vextel stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as his fleet began their work. These were not warships built for battle. They were harvesters, designed to tear apart planets and moons like a person might peel an orange. Begin operations, he commanded. Immediately, the alien ships spread out across the outer solar system. Mechanical arms extended from their hulls, reaching toward the asteroid belt. What had taken nature millions of years to create was being destroyed in ours. The asteroids disappeared one by one, sucked into the harvester ships and broken down into raw materials. The aliens worked with the efficiency of machines, showing no emotion as they dismantled humanity's solar system on Earth. Every radio and television suddenly crackled to life with the same message. The voice was calm, speaking perfect English, Chinese, Spanish, and dozens of other languages simultaneously. Planetary inhabitants, the voice said. Your system requires resource reallocation. Resistance is unnecessary. Compliance expected. The underground laboratory beneath Seoul, Dr. Kim Jisoo, stared at the screens showing the alien fleet. Her colleague, Lee Soman, sat beside her, watching the destruction unfold through hijacked satellite feeds. Look at those ships, Soman whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. They are not military vessels. Those are mining ships. Jisoo nodded grimly. They do not see us as enemies. We are just insects to them, not worth fighting. On the screens, Jupiter's moons began disappearing. Io vanished first, followed by Europa. The aliens consumed them. Like a person eating grapes, casual and methodical. This might be our only chance, Jisoo said quietly. They think we are already beaten. Across the world, government leaders watched in horror as humanity's solar system was slowly eaten away. In New York, President Park Jin-woo of the United Earth Coalition stood before an emergency session of the United Nations. Representatives from every nation filled the assembly hall, their faces pale with fear. My fellow humans, President Park began, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. We face extinction. These aliens see our polluted world and our endless wars. They think we are a broken species on a dying planet. He gestured toward the screen showing the alien harvest. They are not wrong. We have damaged our world. We have fought each other instead of working together. But they have made one mistake. Assembly fell silent, waiting for his words. They think broken means defeated, President Park continued. They do not understand that humans are most dangerous when we have nothing left to lose. In the Seoul laboratory, Jisoo pulled up files. On her computer, the screen filled with complex equations and theoretical models. For years, she had been working on something that most scientists thought was impossible. Project Sunburst, she said to Soman. We can turn our own star into a weapon. Soman looked at the equations with wide eyes. The power requirements would be enormous. We would need to drain every power plant on Earth. Then we drain them, Jisoo replied. What choice do we have? Above them, the city of Seoul was in chaos. People ran through the streets in panic, some trying to flee to the countryside, others gathering in groups to pray or fight. The government had declared martial law, but order was breaking down everywhere. Back at the United Nations, President Park continued his speech. The aliens think we are weak because our planet is damaged. They think we are stupid because we fight each other. but they do not understand human nature. He paused, looking at each representative in turn. When humans are cornered, we do not surrender. We become more dangerous than anything in the universe. We survive ice ages and plagues, build cities. On the ruins of our enemies, we never, ever give up. The vote came quickly. Every nation, despite their differences and old hatred, voted the same way. Project Sunburst would proceed, even if it meant using every resource left on Earth. In space, the alien harvest continued. Mars' small moons disappeared. The asteroid belt was almost gone. The harvester ships worked their way steadily toward the inner solar system, consuming everything in their path. Commander Vextel watched the operation with satisfaction. The humans had sent no ships to oppose them, fired no weapons, made no attempts at communication beyond desperate radio pleas that his fleet ignored. Pathetic species, he muttered to his science officer. They accept defeat without even trying to fight. But deep beneath Earth's surface, in hidden laboratories and secret facilities, thousands of scientists and engineers were working frantically. They stripped power from cities, leaving millions in darkness. They pulled resources from military bases and civilian infrastructure. Dr. Kim Ji-soo worked without sleep, her hands shaking from exhaustion and stimulants. Around her, dozens of other researchers did the same. They were building something that had never been attempted before. "How long do we have?" asked Park Min-ho, looking up from his calculations. Jisoo checked the tracking data. The alien fleet would reach Earth's orbit in 72 hours. Long enough, she said, though she was not sure she believed it. It has to be long enough. Outside, the world held its breath and waited, one by one. The lights went out across Earth. New York fell into darkness first, its towering skyscrapers becoming black silhouettes against the night sky. London followed, then Tokyo, Beijing, and Moscow. Within hours, every major city on the planet had gone dark. From space, Earth looked like it was dying. The bright glow of human civilization, visible from orbit for over a century, was fading away like a candle being slowly extinguished. Commander Vextel watched this from his flagship with deep satisfaction. His 6 eyes studied the readings. On his control panels, noting how human energy output was dropping rapidly across all continents. "Excellent," he said to his science officer. "The primitive species is finally accepting defeat. Their power systems are failing under the stress of our presence." The science officer nodded, updating his reports. Human communications are also becoming weaker. Most of their orbital satellites have stopped functioning. It appears their technology cannot handle the reality of superior forces. What the aliens did not know was that every darkened city was part of a carefully planned deception. Deep beneath the streets of Seoul, Dr. Kim Ji-soo watched her life's work come together in the most desperate hours of human history. The underground laboratory was now lit only by emergency power, casting strange shadows on the walls. The air was thick with tension and the smell of overheated electronics. Around her, dozens of scientists worked frantically at computer terminals, their faces pale with exhaustion. "Status report," Jisoo called out to her team. Choi Hun-woo looked up from his console, his eyes red from staring at screens for too long. "The quantum entanglement array is responding to our signals. We can create resonance patterns in stellar plasma, but the power requirements are massive." "How massive?" asked Yang Seojin, not looking up from her calculations. "It will drain every city on Earth," Hyun-woo replied quietly. "Every power plant, every generator, every backup system. We'll need to pull energy from sources we have never used before." Jisoo nodded grimly. She had known this moment would come. "We drain them all. We have no choice." Above them, Seoul had joined the growing list of darkened cities. Streets that once buzzed with traffic and neon signs now lay empty and black. But this was not surrender. This was preparation. Hidden within Earth's magnetic field, massive orbital collectors were coming online. These devices, built in secret over the past months, were designed to gather and store enormous amounts of electrical energy. As each city went dark, its power was not lost, but redirected upward, flowing through invisible channels to the collectors. Waiting in space, The collectors themselves were nearly invisible to alien sensors. They used Earth's own magnetic field as camouflage, appearing to be nothing more than natural electromagnetic phenomena. The Kethmori fleet, focused on their harvesting operations, paid them no attention. In the Seoul facility, Park Min-ho monitored the power transfer systems. "Energy levels are climbing faster than we expected," he reported. "The blackouts are working. People think their power is failing, but we are actually storing more energy than we have ever had access to before." Jisoo allowed herself a moment of hope. The plan was working, but they were still racing against time. The alien fleet was moving closer to Earth with each passing hour. "What about the resonance calculations?" she asked Seojin. The young scientist rubbed her tired eyes. "I think I have found a way to focus the energy precisely. If we can create the right frequency patterns, we can cause instabilities in stellar plasma." "But Dr. Kim, ... what is it? If this works, we will not just surprise them. We'll teach the entire galaxy that humans do not break easily. We break everything else first." The words sent a chill through the laboratory. Everyone understood what Seojin meant. They were not just trying to defend Earth. They were preparing to demonstrate that humanity, even when seemingly defeated, could still be the most dangerous species in the solar system. Above the planet, Commander Vexthel watched the last few city lights flicker and die. "Humans have finally realized their situation," he announced to his crew. "Prepare the harvesting platforms. We'll begin with their moon, then move to the planet itself." His harvester ships moved into position, their massive mechanical arms extending toward Earth's moon. The aliens worked with the same methodical precision they had shown throughout the solar system, treating Luna like just another rock to be processed. But in the darkness below, humanity was far from defeated. Underground bunkers and hidden facilities across the globe, scientists and engineers were putting the finishing touches on the most ambitious project in human history. The orbital collectors had reached full capacity, storing enough energy to power entire continents for years. This massive reservoir of power was now focused on a single purpose: turning Earth's own star into a weapon. Dr. Kim Jisoo stood before the main control console, her finger hovering over the final activation switch. Around her, her team made their last preparations. They had one chance to save their species, and it required sacrificing everything they had built. "All stations report ready," announced Nam Tae-yeon from the communications desk. Jisoo took a deep breath. Outside, the alien fleet continued their casual destruction of humanity's solar system, confident that the species below had already given up. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The alien fleet moved closer to the sun-like predators approaching a wounded animal. The massive harvester ships positioned themselves in tight formation around Mercury, their mechanical arms reaching out to begin the final phase of their operation. Commander Vexthel stood on his command bridge, watching the yellow star through the reinforced viewing ports. The sun looked old and tired to him, its surface flickering with the weak flames of a dying fire, perfect for their needs. "Position report," he commanded. "All ships in optimal harvesting formation," replied his navigation officer. "Mining platforms deployed. We are ready to begin extraction of the inner planets." The commander nodded with satisfaction. This had been one of the easiest operations he could remember. The humans had not even tried to fight back. Their primitive species had simply accepted defeat and waited for the end. "Sir," called the science officer from his station, "I am detecting minor fluctuations in the stellar output. Nothing significant, just small variations in the star's magnetic field." Vexthel glanced at the readings. The numbers showed tiny changes in the sun's behavior, but nothing unusual for a star of its age. Old stars often showed signs of instability as they approached the end of their life cycles. "Natural stellar aging," he said dismissively. "Continue operations." What the aliens did not know was that those natural fluctuations were anything but random. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, hidden in a laboratory that had become humanity's last hope, the most ambitious scientific project in history was reaching its final moments. Dr. Kim Jisoo stood before a wall of monitors, each screen showing different aspects of their incredible plan. Her hands trembled slightly from exhaustion and caffeine. But her eyes remained focused and determined. Around her, the finest scientific minds left on Earth worked at their stations. Lemurium monitored the quantum field generators that were hidden throughout Earth's magnetosphere. Kong Gi-wan tracked the power flows from every darkened city on the planet. Song Dae-yoon calculated the precise frequencies needed to manipulate stellar plasma. Energy levels at maximum capacity, reported Ariam, her voice tight with concentration. All orbital collectors are feeding power to the array. Jisoo looked at the readings. Every city that had gone dark over the past days had been contributing to this moment. Every power plant, every generator, every battery on Earth was now connected to a single purpose, turning their own star into a weapon. Quantum field generators are synchronized, announced Ji-won. We have created a network that spans the entire magnetosphere. The fields are invisible to alien sensors. Above them, the sun continued its ancient dance of nuclear fusion, unaware that microscopic changes were beginning to occur in its outer layers. The quantum fields generated by Earth's technology were so subtle that they appeared to be natural fluctuations, but they were actually the first steps in a process that would reshape the star itself. Resonance calculations complete, said Song Dae-yoon, looking up from his computer. I have found the frequency that will cause maximum instability in stellar plasma. But Dr. Kim, once we activate this system, there will be no going back. Understood. They were about to attempt something that no species in the galaxy had ever tried before. They were going to weaponize a star, using their own sun as a directed energy weapon against the alien fleet. The risks were enormous. If they miscalculated, they could destroy their own solar system. If they used too little power, the aliens would detect the attack and escape. If they used too much, the sun might become unstable permanently. Status of the alien fleet? She asked. Nam Taeon checked his monitoring systems. They have moved into close solar orbit exactly as we predicted. All their ships are positioned near Mercury for maximum harvesting efficiency. This was the moment they had been waiting for. The aliens, confident in their superiority, had positioned their entire fleet exactly where humanity needed them to be. They were trapped by their own greed and arrogance. All systems are ready, announced Taeyeon from the communications console. Every quantum field generator is online. Power levels are at maximum. We are ready to begin the final sequence. Ju looked around the laboratory at the faces of her team. These were the people who had worked without sleep for weeks, who had sacrificed everything for this one desperate chance. They had watched their world go dark, their cities fall silent, their civilization appear to collapse. But it had all been a lie. A deception so complete that the aliens never suspected the truth. Ariam spoke quietly from her station. Dr. Kim, the alien fleet is beginning to harvest Mercury. They will detect our quantum fields within minutes if we do not act now. Jisoo's finger hovered over the activation control. This single button would trigger the most powerful weapon ever created by human hands. Not a bomb or a missile, but the sun itself, transformed into a directed energy beam that would reach across space to destroy their enemies. For everyone who will not see tomorrow, she whispered. Thinking of all the people who had died during the invasion, all the cities that had been sacrificed to power this moment, she pressed the button above them. 93 million miles away, the sun began to change. Deep within its core, quantum fields started to alter the fundamental processes of nuclear fusion. The star that had given life to Earth for billions of years was about to become humanity's instrument of revenge. The aliens had no idea what was coming. The machines in Seoul hummed with power drawn from every corner of Earth. Dr. Kim. Jisoo stood before the massive control panel, her hands steady despite the weight of what she was about to do. Above them, the sun burned as it had for billions of years, unaware it was about to become humanity's greatest weapon. All stations report ready, called Park Min-ho from his position at the energy controls. The entire planet's power grid fed. Into this single moment, every city had gone dark. Every factory had shut down. All of humanity's energy flowed into one desperate gamble. Jisoo looked at the screen showing the alien fleet. Hundreds of Kethmori ships hung in space near the sun. their massive hulls gleaming as they prepared to strip mine Earth's solar system. They had come expecting easy prey. They had found something else entirely. "Commander Vexthel," she whispered, reading the name from intercepted alien communications. "You made one mistake. You thought we were weak because we were hurt." Hovered over the activation switch. Years of work had led to this moment. While the aliens had celebrated their easy conquest, human scientists had worked in secret. They had learned to speak to the sun itself, to guide its fury like a shepherd guides sheep. The quantum resonance field activated with a sound like thunder. Deep in the sun's core, forces that had burned unchanged for eons suddenly shifted.
Plasma.
Currents twisted into new patterns. The star's magnetic field began to dance to humanity's tune. On the alien flagship, warning lights flashed red. Commander Vexthel's 4 eyes widened as his sensors detected something impossible. "What is happening to their star?" he demanded. His science officer's voice cracked with fear. "The magnetic field is destabilizing, but this cannot be natural. Someone is controlling it." "Controlling a star?" Vextel laughed, but the sound held no humor. "Impossible. These humans are a broken species. Their planet is dying. They barely have space travel." The sun's surface began to bubble and writhe. Massive flares erupted from its face, but instead of spreading in all directions, they focused into a single beam of stellar fire. The quantum fields guided the plasma like water through a hose, aiming it with surgical precision. Vextel's laughter died as he realized the truth. "They are not broken," he whispered. "They are angry." The solar flare struck the alien fleet with the power of 1 billion nuclear bombs. Ship after ship vanished in the stellar fire. Metal that could withstand the cold of space melted like ice. In summer, the aliens' advanced technology meant nothing against the raw fury of a star. "Broadcast emergency message to the Dominion Vexel," ordered as his own ship began to burn. "Tell them we were wrong about these humans. They're not weak." His words were lost as superheated plasma tore through his ship's hull. The commander, who had laughed at humanity's weakness, died, knowing he had made a terrible mistake. In Seoul, watched the tactical display as alien signals disappeared one by one. Each vanishing represented a ship full of beings who had thought Earth was helpless. They had learned otherwise. Oyuna wiped tears from her eyes. "Is it over?" "The fleet is gone," Minho reported. "All alien signatures have been eliminated." But Jisoo knew this was not an ending. It was a beginning. Word would spread across the galaxy about what had happened here. Other species would learn that humans were not the easy target they appeared to be. Beek Shungho looked up from his communication station. "I am receiving requests from around the world. Everyone wants to know what message to send." Jisoo nodded. The time for hiding was over. Humanity had revealed its true nature, and now the galaxy needed to understand what that meant. She stepped forward to the microphone that would broadcast her words to the stars. Her voice was calm, but underneath lay steel forged in years of suffering. "This is Earth," she began. "We know you thought we were broken. You saw our dying planet and our small ships, and believed we would be easy to conquer. You were wrong." The message traveled outward at the speed of light, carrying humanity's declaration to every corner of the galaxy. "We are not broken. We do not surrender. We remember every world you have taken, every species you have destroyed. We remember who hurt us, and we do not forgive." In the darkness of space, the remains of the Kethmori fleet drifted as silent monuments to alien arrogance. The sun continued to burn, but now it carried a new purpose.
Ow.
It was no longer just the source of Earth's life. It was proof that humanity would do anything to survive. The next species that mistakes our scars for weakness will learn what humans do when we are truly angry, Jisoo concluded. "We break stars. Remember that?" The message raced across the void, and the galaxy would never be the same.